We are joined in the media center by your funny car provisional #1 qualifier, Matt Hagan. Matt ran a time here during Q2 of 3.832 at 333.25 miles per hour to put you in that #1 spot. Matt, what does that pass say to the rest of the field?
Well, it's kind of one of those things. The first run, you're like, man, that's a good run. We're sitting one there, and then come back, and when you can repeat and go one again, it's like maybe these boys found something. You know what I mean? So it's definitely a good shot in the arm. Kind of like after our qualifying positions all year long have been a struggle. We obviously we've been working hard behind the scenes just to try to figure it out. And it's always tough when you see a guy like Dickie Venable scratch his head. You know what I mean? And that's when you're going like, ooh, it must be pretty bad if the guy's not, got it figured out. But that's what hard work does, and those guys never give up. And, I think it says a lot for us to come out here and been qualifying in the bottom half of the field pretty much all year, and then kind of, try to figure it out when it counts, you know what I mean? So, it's just, but it was by a foul, so it wasn't like we're 500s ahead of everybody, you know what I mean? So, but honestly, this sport is so humbling that you take it where you can get it, you know what I mean? And I think it was just great for our guys, great for our sponsors. Johnson Horsepower Garage is here. We're running their logo this weekend, and I've been wanting so bad just to turn on some win lights for those guys and put that car in the winner's circle for them. They've been with me for so many years, and but we've only had a few one-offs here and there, and sometimes it just doesn't work out. So I'm hoping this is the weekend for that. But it's drag racing. You put nitro in the tank, and you never know what's going to happen. But great racetrack, great facility. They put us out here. The pyro's going off, and under the lights and flames up, and it's just cool. I wish we raced more under the lights, honestly.
Yeah, talk to us. How did that run feel to you, and did you think that it was going to be the number that it was?
Well, it stuck the tire early. Actually, it was slow early. So when I come back, I was like, it needs more primary, and they're looking at me like, what? So just getting our guys to push a little bit more with the early primary and stuff like that. But it's a field thing. It's a track temp and a grip-o-meter, and they kind of got a baseline of what to go over. But we've changed a lot of stuff in the bell housing, and maybe just wants a little bit more, can take a little bit more. But like I said, it's above my pay grade. You know what I mean? I just tell them how the car feels, and you relay the information the best you can. They look at the graph and they make the decisions from there. But all in all, man, it's just good to come back and see our guys smiling in the pit and everybody high fiving, and up on the top end, your guys are like, yeah, so it's cool. You know what I mean? And that's why you do it. Because there's a lot of times that these race cars, they just kick you in the balls, you know what I mean? But they just do, you know what I mean? And it's just kind of, you're like, man, it's just an awful feeling sometimes, because it's just so humbling, because you work so hard at it, and and then so every now and then when you get a little shot in the arm like that, it's good,
Yeah.
Well, of course, you as experienced and skilled as Dickie is struggling, what does that do for you as a driver? Does it bump you up or make it harder for you?
Well, I've been with Dickie for, I guess, 13. This is going on 14 years now, and I think you see a guy that's as talented as he is, and kind of scratch your head and say, man, I'm not real sure right now. It's kind of, but you got to understand, like for me, that's when I got to put my pom-poms on and be the good cheerleader, you know what I mean, and keep the guys' morale up. And I get to sit up there and listen to all the chatter in the lounge, and where a lot of our guys don't, you know what I mean, they just see the result on the racetrack. And so I think Newt and Alex and Dickie have been doing a good job of letting our guys know what's going on and what they're dealing with. And honestly, the last couple races, it's fallen on me, man. I mean, at the end of the day, I got beat on a whole shot against JR first round. It was kind of bad. I set myself up. I bet him $20, and I bet him $100 in qualifying, and I had a 35 light on him. And then when racing first round, and he had a 45 light on me. And so it's just like, probably shouldn't have done that, you know what I mean? But it's just one of those things where like me and Tasca had a bet tonight. He was come over. He's like, I bet him 20 last week on reaction. I got to 20, and he's like, I'm getting my 20 back, but we're going to do it on win light. You know what I mean? So I like that kind of stuff, the back and forth. But that's what pumps me up. You know what I mean? And I want it to count for something every time we get in the car, even if it's just $20. You know what I mean? So but that drives me. You know what I mean? Because I hate losing. You know what I'm saying? So. And it is tough sometimes to see, your guys, but you're going to have that. You know what I mean? I think that's just the ins and out of drag racing, right? Like you're so like being a manic depressant. It's the highs of highs and the lows of lows. You know what I mean? There's not a whole lot of in between. You're you're either up on top of the car beating your chest and, you know, thanking the good Lord above, or you're over there beside of it crying when nobody else sees you. You know, I cry a lot in the shower, man. You know what I mean? So there's those moments, but I think that's what makes you really appreciate it when they go well. You know, and most of, like, 2 of my championships out of the 4, I runnered up the year before. You know what I mean? And those are awful feelings to be so close and you know, you get pulled away from you, and it just wasn't meant to be. But it made me dig deeper the next year and work harder, my guys as well, and come back and win it. You know what I mean? So you just appreciate that much more. So we've had a rough season. I mean, there's no right way around it. I mean, there's plenty of guys out here that haven't won a race. We've won 2 races. So I mean, but for us, that's, I feel like, a rough season. You know what I mean? We're usually average 4 to 6 races every year. You know, and we still got 5 races to go. But you know, and I think in this countdown, you're going to have to win, you know, 3 races out there. You know what I mean? Especially to catch Brock, and he's going to have to stub his toe. You know what I mean? And so it's a lot of work ahead of us. A lot of you know, things that have to happen. But I feel good that our car is moving in the right direction this weekend so far.
No, good. Matt, I'm guessing you probably drove up from home this morning.
Sure. Yeah.
How special is it to you knowing your history at this track? You touched on it a little bit earlier, but this track and then to come out and perform like that, how special is that?
Yeah, there's a lot of rednecks that are cheering you on here from home, you know, and there's a lot of Hagan t-shirts running around, and it's pretty cool, man, you know, because there's been people that come up to the ropes today and they were like, hey, man, I followed you back in the Rockingham days and NHRA and your Pro Mod days and stuff like that, and you still see some of these Hagan Pro Mod t-shirts running around, and I'm like, that thing's so old, how's it even together, you know what I mean? But it's cool to see, you know what I mean? And like, no different than here or Bristol. Like, Bristol was one of my favorite wins ever because my family was there, my kids were there, you know what I mean? It was Father's Day, and you know, so it definitely holds a special place in my heart. And this place holds a special place in my heart because it is so close to home, and you have so many people come up and pat you on the back and wish you well, but it's also very exhausting mentally, you know what I mean? Because you feel like you have to entertain, and you have people come in the pits, and you know, you're pulled in so many different directions. So it's tough to take, you know, sometimes step back and say, hey, look, I need to roll the window up and focus on doing what I got to do. And so my guys are pretty good at reminding me. They're like, hey, I got a guy the other day, one of my crew guys, he got in, he turned the radio way up loud and rolled the windows up. My sponsor was standing right beside me, and I was just like, what are you doing? He's like, your time to get focused. He's like, you're driving a race car, you can talk later. You know, I was like, all right, it sounds good to me, man. You know, so, but those guys are in it too, man. They depend on what we do and how I perform, and you love to see that, you know, just the passion with it.
Thank you.
Cool, thank you guys.